All right. We are happy to have you on the program, Mr. Gilead. And we know that before you started your IRC Africa, you have worked as a freelancer before.
Mhm.
So would you like to give us a retrospect of your tech journey and your foundation in tech?
All right, thanks, Victor. It's great to be here. Hi, everyone. My name is Gilead Ogbonna. Victor is a bit nervous this morning, so we'll try to lighten him up as we gist. Um, I think by way of introduction, if I were going to start with that, I would say that my core skill would be digital solutions consulting.
Okay.
That's what I would use to kind of capture what I do. And that kind of envelopes my journey, which segues back to your question about what I do and my journey. So I did start out in tech a while ago, close to 2 decades ago. And my experience started in the classroom, teaching people how to use the computer. Well, of course, if I were going to go a step backwards, I'll talk about learning, picking up different skills, beginning with computer repairs back in the day, learning how to use basic computer applications, and getting stuff done with that. And pretty much over the years, I have picked up several skills. I think that to a very, very large extent, I've always been technically inclined, always willing and happy to utilize my technical skills. So as technologies come and go, I found myself being inside and outside of that. So that pretty much has been my experience. But as far as my core skills go, I find myself back and again teaching what I learn, sharing what I learn, either in the classroom, at the university campus, at coaching scenarios where I work with clients to mentor and share ideas, strategies with them. So I find myself piggybacking between the operation side of things, the strategy side of things, and the build side of things. I find myself doing lots of that when working. So that kind of encapsulates my skills. So if I were going to describe who I am, I would call myself a digital solutions consultant.
I would like to also say that if I say you're a tech guru, I will not be mistaken.
Some have said that, but I mean, I do not want to identify myself as tech guru. Let's not get into our heads,
Yeah.
But yeah, I tried.
Yeah, all done for that. Yeah, so I know that before you started your I Assist Africa, I know there are some maybe challenges that you met along the way that inspired you to move on to establishing I Assist Africa. So would you like to give us, a brief rundown on that?
So I Assist Africa started out in 2019, right? So I had left the last place I worked in 2016. And then I had been going back and forth, freelancing, working. But then at 2016, I was like, whatever, man, I just need to go get this work done so that I can earn better money for my skills. But what I discovered was I had tried freelancing platforms like freelancer.com. I had tried guru.com. I had tried Upwork. And I noticed that I would create my profile, I would apply to jobs, and zero feedback. Nothing was happening. And it kind of got frustrating because I was like, why are these guys not hiring me? Then it then hit me. Could it be because as a Nigerian and African, there's this stigma? How many people are facing this problem? What if we created the African version of maybe what any of these platforms do? So back in 2019, I remember I was in a cafe discussing with my friend Alex. Then we've done several things in one of my companies, Gilead Systems, the digital solutions agency.
Yeah.
I was discussing with him. I was like, come, let's try this stuff out now. Let's see if it would actually fly. And he welcomed the idea. But I think at that particular time, I was kind of swamped with several client projects. So I didn't exactly have time. I was like, dude, I'll give you guys support. Just go and run this thing. Any support you need, get back to me and stuff. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And it would take another, I think, 2-3 years. 2021, that would be 2 years later. I revisited the idea because it didn't take in 2020. I do remember I got the domain registered. I started working on the website.
Okay.
It never went live within 2019. So in 2021, I got serious interest. I spoke with a client turned mentor, friend, and investor who was like, wow, let's get this done. Okay. And, we got to work. And while we started working, built it out, launched I Assist Africa, we actually started launching the launch stage as just an MVP. Okay. And I think it was about that same period that I joined the Y Combinator program for startups, and kind of found what was missing around setting up a startup, launching and all of that. And it was quite helpful. So we launched I Assist Africa and actually started getting clients. Interestingly, so clients started coming in. I think within our first 2-3 months, we had crossed the $2,000 mark. Wow, I was like, this is big, And so we started picking up before a little hiccups here and there started. I'm not going to get into that, but I mean, okay. As far as the history of how Assist Africa started, that pretty much was what started it, and it was quite an exciting journey, if I would say that.
Interesting. Thanks for your story. I can relate a little with what you said about, submitting proposals and not getting
that's
feedback.
crazy.
That's very
crazy.
That
is crazy.
Very, very crazy.
Nothing happens. You find yourself wondering whether it is you that has the problem.
Yeah.
And you do know you have the skills. You have the talent. But yeah, that was not a funny stick.
I've met a couple of friends who related their own stories too about their job hunting and all. And when you hear them, man,
it is not funny.
Very, very discouraging. It's not funny at all. And I like the fact that we're able to navigate and establish something and it's been working. Yeah. And, they say that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step.
Absolutely.
So since 2019 up until now, you have taken several steps. And we know that there are roadblocks along the way. There are challenges that you must have come across along the way and you're able to overcome them. So would you like to walk us through the earliest phase of your establishment in Assist Africa?
So like I mentioned, I think at the beginning, one of the challenges you would face, I think any person who tries to build something at scale would recognize or would notice that it's usually challenging finding the right people to build with you. Several persons will argue that it's usually a conversation of how much remuneration you can provide. Some persons will make that argument. At the same time, you'd also have the argument of, well, you can actually afford to pay people if you're making enough revenue to cover that cost, right? But if you're not making enough revenue, how do you then cover that cost? So there's usually that challenge to balance things up along that vertical. And I think that is one of the challenges that we did face. So when in hindsight, while the reason why when the idea struck in 2019, I couldn't run it, but had to pawn it off, as it were, to a few friends, was you had a revenue problem. I mean, you have bills to pay, you have stuff to run, and if you're going to run this, you need revenue to run it, right? So even at the point when we launched, one of the deciding factors for running was, okay, we had an investor come in. I was like, okay, I'm going to provide some support at some level that would allow you guys continue to build what you're trying to build. I mean, the vision of what I Assist Africa can be is still very, very clear. It's still very, very large. But you still have that conversation of that. Then you still now have the second conversation of what would you charge that would actually allow your business to grow. And if you begin to have that conversation, then you find yourself having a second look at your market. You now realize that market you've been eyeing may not necessarily be that market anymore. Because you'd realize that the price point you've put, irrespective of how low it is, may not be something that the market wants to work with. So that in itself, the talent and the running costs, those were real challenges at the time. I remember having to go figure out how to generate or create videos, animation videos. Our first animation video, I would have shared that with you earlier. I remember going to figure out how does this thing work, how does it work, subscribe to the account, and then rolled out, just so that we could save costs, roll out multiple videos within a short period of time so that we'll have several videos ready. Signing up to Canva to start designing all the flyers and images and image posts we would run for a period of time. It's several things, all in a bid to save cost and keep the business running. So those are certainly some of the challenges that we ran through.
Wow. That's amazing to know. Thank you so much. And I like the fact that you're able to navigate through these challenges and, scale through. Yeah. All done for that.
Yeah.
So I also know that, for you to have established Assist Africa, you must have hired a number of talent and you must have seen the number of skills out there.
Yep.
So in your own view, what digital skill would be future proof and also guarantee that when you are done with it, you're also going to, get a job and be on that for a very long time, let's say for a period of 5 to 10 years. So which skills do you think is in demand that, talents can key into?
So I think that that's the question. Everybody generally wants to get a straightforward answer to that, but I found that question can be not so straightforward. So my answer, okay, let me actually give my answer to the question.
Yeah.
So my answer to that question is any skill that is high leverage, that generally requires lots of human thinking and human input, is future proof. If I were going to go give a specific example, ironically, this has been something that when you do think about it, it continues to remain an in-demand skill, and that's the skill of being a teacher. The skill of being a teacher. Every particular skill I've learned and mastered became possible because I was teaching it. Actually, let me take it a step back.
Okay.
So I struggled with maths from nursery school to primary school to secondary school up until SS2. I was struggling with maths. SS3, I suddenly became a math genius.
Wow.
What changed? Mind you, between all these other years, I had been struggling with maths. I was going for after-school lessons. At one point, I even had a tutor, a private tutor I would go to. It's Inogrienta. Inogrienta. But SS3, just like that changed. And what changed was I met a new teacher. This guy was very unassuming, very down to earth. When you see somebody that lives and breathes something and something is flowing through their veins and it is sweet to see.
Yeah.
That's how math was in this guy's body, and it was mind-blowing. And suddenly I was interested in maths. I was understanding maths. The math was entering. I was beginning to explain to people, okay, you don't understand in geometry, come, let me show you. You don't understand algebra, let me show you. Sines, cosines, let me explain that to you. Why I mentioned that reference is the same thing applies to skills and even tech skills.
Okay.
That ability that my maths teacher had, AI cannot replicate it. So I can take courses, you can teach courses, but what can future proof whatever you teach is that unique teaching ability that you have. And it is that teaching ability that makes people fall in love with your teaching process. It is that teaching ability that makes people want to work with you as against working with AI. I mean, I found myself thinking maybe one day we might be able to have AI models that can mirror your mannerisms, how you think. I do not know if they will be able to improvise.
We never can tell.
I do not know if they can improvise the way we would.
Yeah.
So I can be explaining something to you, and in real time I notice that okay, you're not really getting this perspective. Let me give you an illustration that you can relate to. For AI to do that, the AI should know your entire background, know my entire background, and then be able to say, okay, this guy isn't getting this. Let's use something very, very relatable. See what I mean? So I do think that is one skill that is future proof.
Okay.
So ability to teach tech skills at a much more engaging level. Any person who has, for your viewers, if you've tried to learn the same skill from multiple tutorials, multiple courses, that is your evidence that you need a good teacher. That's your evidence.
Yeah, it's true.
Because I mean, if I'm going to take the same project management course 10 times if I understand it, the problem is not the course material, it's not the course work, because everybody teaches the same thing. But did you understand it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times? If you understood it the first time, imagine how much time you would have spent.
Yeah.
Long run. So I feel like that is one skill. And yes, while we could have, we do have lots of people trying to teach and share stuff, we don't exactly have lots of them who actually know how to transfer that knowledge. So that is one future proof skill idea. I think another skill out there that is really good that can be future proof is the role of the thinker. It's not something that is popular here yet. Okay. And the role of the thinker, those who could sit down and formulate ideas, come up with ideas, and maybe even come up with the roadmap to implement. Of course, you could connect with AI and say, okay, AI, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. Let's break this down and let's dissect this and then build up something out off of it. You could do that. But the ability to look at circumstances and situations and you're like, I could do this. You could think somebody like Steve Jobs. I mean,
Yeah.
he was a thinker, right? And he was able to come up with wonderful ideas that nobody thought possible. Nobody thought, actually, people laughed at.
Yeah,
But I mean, that's what you now have in your iPhones, in your MacBooks.
exactly.
Until tomorrow, everybody will line up just to get a glimpse. I mean, that's just 2 examples.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that. This your answer now is very diplomatic. Very, very diplomatic. So would like you to
Did you just call it diplomatic?
It's quite diplomatic.
I'm not a politician.
The reason I say it's diplomatic is because I expected a direct answer.
Okay.
I asked in-demand skills, and
Yeah.
then we are talking about teaching and thinking and the rest of them.
Okay, so let me be a bit more direct, right? So
Okay.
if you're going to be, I'll say be a teacher.
Okay.
It's a skill.
Okay.
So teach what if you can teach the particular skills you've learned.
Okay.
Then that will give. I guess you still need to have the conversation also. What should I learn so that I can teach?
Exactly.
I do think that. Okay, so in the marketplace, there are lots of skills that are in demand today. I'm not going to say AI.
Okay.
I'm not going to say cybersecurity. I'm not going to say data analytics. What I would rather say.
Well, you just said it.
I'm not going to say. I would rather say in the space of so within the space of that question is actually still kind of tricky because I'm thinking about it not as a straightforward answer, but as a solution set. Okay, right? Okay. Why do people use AI? Why do people learn cybersecurity? Okay. Why do people learn data analytics? Okay. Why do people learn project management? So people learn project management so that they can be able to build better products. So I'm thinking about it from the the fundamentals
Mm.
of, okay, what are products?
Mm.
So I'd rather say building better products,
Okay.
not managing them.
Okay.
I think managing them is like an afterthought. Building better products appears to be that's where the real gold is. Data analytics, creating or populating better data, or interpreting data, or getting data, generating data. That for me feels like a much more direct use case that translates to actual results. If I'm thinking cybersecurity, I'm thinking in terms of, okay, how do computers communicate? How do networks communicate? That's what I would learn before I start thinking about how do we protect this infrastructure. So it's like these skills come up as buzzwords, but they kind of are like only a small subsection of where the real money or the real gold is.
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking about it from what is really the actual nugget in here in these particular skills. So I think while we could look at all the list of skills that are out there, I think it generally helps to take it a step further down. Why is this skill in demand? I think it is in the why that you get to unveil what the real gold is, and then you would find the one that suits you. Because I mean, I've always been an advocate for find your passion.
Yeah.
That thing you like a lot. There's a very, very good chance that because you like that thing a lot and you're passionate about it, any skill you learn that is in tandem with that, you would outperform any other person who does not resonate with it.
True.
Anywhere you go to. And because you outperform that person, you would out-earn that person, you would out-deliver that person, you would outrank that person. That's my thinking. That's my philosophy. And I think it kind of translates to the kind of results that people at that level produce. So you can learn it. You can go to school to learn it. But if it does not sync or link to something that you already enjoy doing, you get bored. And when you get bored, performance dips. You will no longer enjoy it. You will not make any result out of it. So that's the way I tend to look at it. So I could say go learn this particular skill, cybersecurity, and you are somebody that hates working with computers. What good will that do you? I could say go learn project management, and you're somebody who hates organizing stuff. You're the last person to wake up and say, "Hey, Gilead, come, Victor, come, let's do this in this structured way." You are the last person to put people together. You're not going to succeed for project management. You will hear them.
Exactly.
So that's the way I try to look at it from. So it's tricky. I actually feel it's kind of unfair to push people through the route of do this, do that, because what you end up having is people who learn lots and lots of skills, are dissatisfied with the skills they've learned because they are not seeing the results that they've gotten, and they are not seeing the results because they are unable to. They do not have the capacity. Not that they do not have the capacity, they are unable to, not necessarily by any fault of theirs, to exert themselves to, go the distance to get the results that they are looking for. So I guess that's the perspective I look at it from. That kind of informs why I feel if you can teach as a skill, yes. If you go the route of future proof, that's, I can tell you, go that way. But if you want to be a little bit more specific, then that's the angle I'll look at it. Let it link to what you enjoy, and you would find better results from there.
I think I agree with what
Sorry,
you said.
guys, that's the way I see it. I mean, that's the way I try to look at it. I don't deal in specifics per se. Well, that's what I think.
That's okay, and that's kind of answered my next question, because I was going to ask, is the problem the skill they learn, or that talents lack exposure and they need to reposition themselves better and try to approach it in a different angle and look at the skills in a different perspective, because they need to pick a skill first. So they need to try to understand the skill if it resonates with what they are already interested in by nature. So that will allow them to love what they do and to also stay long in it.
Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, one of the rollouts we did for iAssist Africa last year was iAssist Africa Learning.
Yeah.
And the idea was, okay, let's just build a training wing for iAssist Africa so that we could train virtual assistants to come into the system so that we could provide. Maybe virtual assistant may not be the right term to use, but that's what we used. And the whole idea around it was, if we could train enough persons within the skill frame that we wanted to teach people, and then funnel them into our talent pool, then it could be easier for us to already have people who already were used to our philosophy and our work procedure and our workflow, to just basically assign them to client tasks and then get it done. Of course, I know last year a number of other businesses ran similar programs, but you would notice that the same challenge still comes to the fore, because it was pushed. Everybody wanted to become a virtual assistant. Everybody became a virtual assistant. But there was no longer job for virtual assistants to run. Which brings me back to my comment on, it needs to be synced to your passion. If it is synced to your passion, your chances of success become significantly higher. If it is not synced to your if it is not synced to your passion, then you just basically have a challenge on what to deal with. And that in itself speaks to what we're trying to do, on iAssist Africa learning. So yes, we did that. We started getting students and training, but you now come back and then realize, people are actually learning this stuff, but are they really in need for the skill, or are they in need for the money? Many of us are really in need for the money.
That's something to think about.
I understand that everybody needs to get paid. Why else do we want to get stuff done, right? Everybody needs to get paid, but it creates a scenario where it becomes some sort of a race to the bottom for those who have those skills, because it becomes who is the cheapest in the market, so that we could work with that person.
I see.
There are different areas to consider, but that's the way I try to look at it.
All right. Thank you so much.